Welcome, guys. Welcome,
Welcome.
welcome again to Maintain Monday. Not quite sure if everyone could hear the video.
We may have to play that again. I'm not sure. We had some technical difficulties with the sound, but essentially, that was a message from the class of 2020, how they're really feeling, what they're really going through. This is an excerpt I want to read from the 2020 Teacher of the Year from Louisiana. His name is Chris Deere. This is just an excerpt from a letter that he wrote to the class of 2020. It says, "Let's be abundantly clear. You were robbed, and it's unfair. If you're upset, then you should embrace those feelings. Commiserate with one another. Some folks will downplay the situation because they won't know what it feels like to have their senior year stripped at the last moment. I, for one, will not downplay it as it happened to me. Hurricane Katrina devastated my community when I was a high school senior. I remember leaving my school on a Friday afternoon with my buddies only to never return to that school. I was supposed to be the captain of my soccer team, go to prom with my longtime crush, and finish the year with my lifelong friends, but it was all canceled. Instead, I stayed in a shelter and finished my high school in a different state. It was tough, and I had to find some solace in places I'd never envisioned. It was hard, but we made it through, and I'm reliving that pain as I think of your disruption to your senior year." Joining us now is Jean and Tristyn DeVeaux, who knows very, very much what Chris Deere is talking about. Tristyn, I'll let Cassandra introduce them because Tristyn was on her way to an amazing senior year. Go ahead, Cassandra.
Yes, I want to introduce Jean and Tristyn DeVeaux, who is also family members of mine and close to my heart. I actually had to pray before I did this interview because I can imagine, I was just feeling Tristyn's pain. Not quite how she's feeling it, but I can feel the pain of a senior and just remembering my senior year. But Tristyn is an all-star basketball athlete. She does very well academically. She actually, last prom, she had this gown that went all over the place. I mean, it went viral. So we was like waiting, like this year, like what is the gown gonna look like this year? Right? So, and then all of a sudden, and of course, Jean, her mom, who just nurtures, and I'm telling you, I could say this: I am glad that Jean is Tristyn's mom.
Yes.
Such a strong woman of faith, a woman, I know every time it may come, but she got something to tell Tristyn to help her to stay in a place of hope, in a place of peace. And I'm just so grateful, to have them in my family and also to have them here to talk about, that moment. I could imagine what was running through her mind when everything began to say, this is canceled, or this is, we're glad you guys are here. And I'm gonna let Placida start the conversation on.
Tristyn, just to piggyback off of Cassandra, the fact that you had that experience with the prom dress that went viral is amazing because you have something, because just as the letter said, this was taken away from you, and it was taken away from many. Yeah. But what are you feeling right now? Let's not try to put our words on what you're feeling. Tell the world what's going on in your heart and in your mind.
Well, me not knowing that the Friday that we got out of school, or the last Friday that we were there, me not knowing that, and my friends not knowing that, we just feel like I don't know, maybe we should have made more happen, like made the best of that Friday, because I know that personally, me and my best friend, we had part-time, so we weren't really supposed to be in school, but I guess they knew that something was about to happen. So when we left early, and we started thinking like maybe we shouldn't have left early. We should have made more of that Friday.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. What are you feeling, Mom, as you experience all of her letdowns? And she's pretty for the camera right now, but I know that there's been times when it wasn't pretty. What are you feeling, Jean?
I'm feeling like I cry a lot. I definitely pray a lot because I have to keep her covered. I look at her, I discern her moods, her attitudes, and there are different times when like she may be mad or just upset. Instead of me saying, "Hey, what's going on with you?" I have to take a step back and realize that she's hurting. There's pain there. So if she's not coming out of her room, I gotta check to see like, "Hey, why aren't you up yet?" Things like that. It's been hard for her to sleep. She's a night owl, so she's like up all night. She and her friends are up all night, and then they sleep all day. So, and I realize that if that's what they need to get through, I have to allow that, but also enforce the fact that you need to get out and at least walk around the house outside to get some sun. So I watch for depression. I watch for mood changes. So I have to cover the atmosphere. Again, it's a letdown. It's very disappointing for me to see her not achieve those things. Up until the time that they got out of school, she did have an amazing senior start off to the ending her year. She was a homecoming queen. She was homecoming queen. She participated in all of the senior activities, toga day, dress up day, senior day. So and I'm glad I took the time to ensure that we went full out on everything. Not knowing that this time would come, that there would be a pause or an interruption in her senior year. But we used to say, Tristyn is living her best senior life. And that was all my captions on everything that I posted. So I'm very grateful that God gave me that heart to go ahead and put out, just have her go full out. There was nothing that she didn't participate in. There was nothing that she didn't want. And yeah, last year she did go viral with that prom dress. This year she was slated to go viral again because
Yes, she was.
there was an expectation on the table, and we definitely were going to meet it. But just trying to keep her grounded and letting her know that your ladder will be greater. That God's going to give you all double for your trouble, and just to kind of keep her uplifted. I try to say, "Hey, what is it that you need today?" And as a mother, I have to cover everybody's emotions, everybody's feelings. I also have a college student here who's going through transition as well. But the focus is on Tristyn. Tristyn will ask her, "Hey, how you feeling?" Sometimes she'll snap, "How y'all think I'm feeling?" But
Right.
we have to remind ourselves, okay, give her that moment. If that's how she wants to respond, then that's okay. But definitely ensuring her that she still has a hope in the future, and that she's going to get double for her trouble. And they're going to make history. Class of 2020 is going to make history. And I just pray for all of the seniors, everybody who's missing a major moment in life. There's just a constant prayer that I have for them. But just keeping Tristyn covered and being observant and discerning of her moods and attitudes, and just what she might be going through, and always keeping that door open for her to come and express herself to us.
Yeah, you know what, Jean? What I want to say is this. Of course, as we were preparing, and in my quiet time, I just gently heard God say this, Jeremiah 29:11. The thoughts and plans I have for you are good and not evil, to take you to an expected end. Let's just say even a destiny. God knows exactly what has happened, but he has an expected end. He knows exactly where Tristyn needs to be and what time she needs to get there. And so we're just really trusting God. But one thing I'm grateful for about you is not that you were a parent that only celebrated their child doing, let's say, when something major or something hits the paper, because she definitely has been in the paper often for her basketball skills.
Hopefully we can bring up that all-star picture of our girl.
But you also celebrate your children every day.
Yes.
And so when you celebrate your children, regardless of the big, the small, whatever, then that means that, if they can look back and say, God, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this moment. I'm grateful. There she go. There the Tristyn DeVeaux. The first goal, the third one over. Yes. All basketball. But I think that as parents, and one thing I love about you too as a parent, Jean, is that you allow your children to make their own choices. Nothing they do is based on something that you were not able to do, if I could say that. you know, and you're there, you're encouraging them, you're letting them make their own choices, and you're celebrating them all the time, because as a family we celebrate all the time. You know, so the hardest thing for us as a family right now is that we can't get together and celebrate.
Yes.
You know, we like to celebrate. We like to throw cookouts. We like to do all this. But I think that, you know, because Tristyn has such a strong mother that's strong in the word and strong in faith, and you were already encouraging her to let her know this too shall pass. There is a rainbow at the end of this. There is a brighter future. It may hurt right now, but you know, like you said, she will get double for her trouble and triple for her shame, and everything that God has intended for you to have, Tristyn, will not be denied. It may be delayed, but it will not be denied. It's going to happen in your life.
That is so true. I love that one of our viewers said that Jean is a very observant mother, and you are absolutely right, Cassandra. At some point, hopefully, Tristyn will bring up a picture of you in your prom dress from your junior prom, which was amazing. But you went all out. I heard you say that, Jean. You went all out.
Yes.
And you have 2 kids close in age, and so that's really hard to do. Another one of our viewers said that parents of seniors rock. Well, you were a parent of a senior and a parent of a junior, and it is hard to it's financially difficult, but you found a way to make sure both of your babies were celebrated. And some, you know, you didn't know, but I think that there was a knowing, whether you knew it or not, in you to just to be present. Tomorrow isn't promised, and so I want the parents that are watching just to realize that, or to grab that from Jean, because she is present in her kids' moments. Sometimes I'm looking at your family from Facebook, right? And I'm watching the senior night or the whatever, when you were awarded certain things. Tristyn, I forget, because you and Jay, y'all just be doing stuff, right? But y'all are always there. You're always present. You're always celebrating. And I'm not trying to say that to minimize what you're feeling now, Tristyn, because you still were owed a senior year and all of that, and it's still a loss. But thank God for what you did have ahead of time, right? Because a lot of people wait.
Right.
You know, they put the plastic on the chairs. Yeah, you might not know what I'm talking about, Tristyn, but your mom and Cassandra does. And they're like, one day we're gonna use this living room, and it's real important, and the real important person comes over. But Jean, you have an attitude of celebrating the whole time. And so, yeah. So did that come from something? Did you learn that from something? Why is it like that for you?
I think I've learned that, and I guess it's just an innate, I guess, ability to want to give. I like to celebrate people. I like to build people up. God gifted me with the gift of being able to decorate and to pull chaos together and to just organize. So, you know, recently I've gone into balloon artistry and the whole, you know, party decorating, but I do that a lot for family and friends. And I don't look to make a business or market, but whenever we have an event, I just want to celebrate. I want it to be memorable. I want it to be a feeling as opposed to just an event. So, you know, with my girls, there's always a balloon. There's always something bright. Even before I got into the grandiose building of parties and things like that, I would decorate a table. I started off when they were young. If it was Easter, if it was St. Patrick's Day, it was Valentine's Day, there was always a semblance of that event or that particular holiday, something that they can take and just feel good about the day. Like I said, it's about feeling. But for my girls, you know, there were a lot that I didn't have growing up, and I just treat people how I want to be treated. So I ingrain in them, celebrate yourself, celebrate life. And as me as a mother, I just want to have a marquee for those memorable moments. So things that they can take into their adulthood, things that they can pass down to their children, traditions. They may not be able to blow up a balloon, but I'm gonna make sure they are. But but they have that, you know, they have that skill set just to celebrate in their hearts and minds. So to your point, that comes from me just wanting to give, me just wanting to celebrate someone. So, and to give them those memorable moments that will last a lifetime for them and myself.
That's awesome. So what are your plans?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Cassandra.
No, I was going to say exactly that. I'm sorry, I can't see your mouth moving. Now I can.
So my plans are we're still going to send out announcements, graduation announcement. We paid for them. We got them. They're going to be sent out. There'll be a nice little note tucked in the graduation announcement. There will be decorations. I don't know what Harford County is going to do yet regarding graduation. I don't know if it's going to be a virtual graduation or drive-by graduation, but she will have that cap and gown on. She will have a full photo shoot. Our hall will be decorated. She will, like I said, have her photo shoot. She'll have food. We'll have a virtual party. Everybody will be zooming in, but she'll be celebrated, and it'll be a monumental moment. We can't change what's going on. You know, I can't. You know, in social distancing. I mean, it needs to be here. It needs to stay until we all are clear to kind of get through this thing. But again, the announcements will go out. There'll be a big Zoom graduation party. I'm just waiting to see what Harford County and what their dates look like. But we're going to pull it together. She will be celebrated. It's going to be non-traditional, but we're going to make it happen. I did a Hall of Fame for Dalen last year. Tristyn will have that Hall of Fame. So it'll be Zoom. We'll do videos. It's gonna be big in the way that we can do it big here. So, you know, she's worked hard to this point. Again, she and the others were around, but for my baby, I know she's gonna feel love. She's going to feel love. I still had a celebration.
For my baby, I know
that's right.
So the struggle comes right here. Okay, this is our family struggle. All of us probably rolling at least 8, 9, 10 deep. So we can't even add nobody in, right? We can't add nobody and say, okay, we had 10 now. You can come. Nope. We got to zoom in. Everybody got to zoom in, which I know a lot of people are having that. But I would say let God continue to breathe into you creativity. You know, because this is something that you guys are going to talk to. Tristyn, you're going to talk to your children about what happened. But at the same time, it's teaching you endurance and perseverance. It's teaching you, regardless if the world is shaking up under you, you can still stand on truth and you can still walk by faith and still, you know, do what you need to do to get to what they expected and that God has promised you.
Absolutely.
So tell us, what was your plans after high school?
Well, currently my plans after high school are to attend Bowie State University, and I want to major in biology, but I want to take the path of animal science or animal behavior.
Oh, good.
Wonderful, wonderful. We're so proud of you, Tristyn. Keep your head up, sweetheart. We're going to add to the conversation right now. We want to welcome Rodney Joyner. He is honored for his dedication to college counseling in the mission of the Colleges That Change Lives organization. Rodney, are you there with us?
Good morning. Good afternoon, I should say. Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Hello, Rodney. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, Having a good day here so far. Enjoying the show.
Oh, good. And Rodney, we know that you are really on the front line for our seniors. If we talk about the nurses, the firefighters, and you know them being on the front line, but you are really on the front line for our seniors because you help them do college searches. You help them with the scholarships. You help them filling out the paperwork. Just tell us, what are some of the conversations that you've been having with some of the seniors at this moment?
Currently, it's been tough. I'm sorry, I'm at office right now, so as the school bell.
Already.
So that means it's time for me to go. No, but it's been tough for the class of 2020. My heart, first of all, really goes out to the class of 2020 because, as was mentioned before, they have been shortchanged in a lot of things that they had nothing to do with. So my heart just kind of goes out to those, to our class of 2020. The conversation has been, quite frankly, what to do. Do I continue with the path I have set before me? I've been admitted to my colleges, and now I'm ready to, go to the next level. But do I go now? Parents are wanting to know, how do I communicate with the colleges when many of the colleges are not up and running at full steam as they are usually this time of year. May 1st deadline is coming up. That's the national notification date where students have to let colleges know if they're coming. Many colleges, I think about 52% of the colleges in the country, have moved away from the May 1st deadline for this year. So there's a lot of uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of uncertainty right now in this transition from high school to college. And I think what makes it doubly tough is that not only is tough on the college end, but then this little students are dealing with it at the high school level and not being able to complete their senior year in the way they had envisioned. So it's like a double whammy for them.
It is.
Yeah, so it's a tough time for them. So we're just here in the college office trying to figure out ways to, I think, where it was celebrate them as much as we can. And we know it's going to be pretty much virtually at this point. So we're just trying to find creative ways to be able to celebrate them and to still help guide them through this process.
So before I get into my question, I just want to have the viewers recognize that Rodney was the 2020 recipient of the Counselors That Change Lives Award. Is that correct, Rodney?
That's correct, yes.
I don't think y'all heard what I said. The Counselors That Change Lives, right? That's a big deal. You are esteemed among your colleagues because you care, because you have set your life apart to support this group of people. Like, you know, I think sometimes we take for granted that we're called to a thing. We're called to be the support in this season, and you excel in that area. So if you were talking to the parents, the other support systems, the auntie, as Cassandra is, of the seniors right now, what would you tell them to be there? How can they be there for the seniors that they love?
I'm going to say what you just said, be there for them, no matter what that means. What that means, you want to get a phone call, or maybe you do a TikTok with them, maybe you send them a package in the mail. We just did that through an organization at our church, where we sent some of the college students a package in the mail, and a couple of parents just remarked that how uplifting it was, because it is such a time of uncertainty. So I say just to be there for the families, be there for the students. We have 3 students at home, 1 college, 1 high school, 1 middle school. And even for them, it's tough. So I can only imagine what someone like Tristyn is going through and having to try to make sense of it all. It's really tough for them because they're missing out on so many major milestones in their lives. So those of us who are family support systems, just be there, support them, love them, send things to them, have something delivered to them, just to let them know that they're still special and that we're not going to just wash it away and say, well, you'll remember because no one's ever had this happen, but really try to make it even extra special this year for them. And I think that's where families and support systems really going to have to come in place and step up this year to make people like Tristyn feel like, okay, I still had a great senior year and my family and friends really still supported me. So,
yeah. That's good advice, Rodney.
Really good advice.
Yeah.
Really good advice. So right now we have joining us Dr. Gloria Morrow. She's a clinical psychologist with national prominence. She is one of our tried and true colleagues, professionals that we call on when in times like these, when we need the support of a professional that can really give us some guidance in this area. I think it was Jean earlier that made a comment of we watch for signs of depression. Was that you, Jean? I think that was you, with Tristyn, because that's really real.
Yeah.
Stress, anxiety, depression, all of those things that we hear about a lot now. I would say that our as a community, we're doing a much better job of talking about things like stress and anxiety and depression. But still, I think oftentimes, especially us as adults, and maybe I should just speak for myself, sometimes we don't realize that the younger generation is impacted just as much and maybe even sometimes more than we are with stress, anxiety, and depression. And this situation can certainly bring on things just as that. So welcome, 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 Dr. Gloria.
Dr. Gloria.
Hi.
We're so happy to see your beautiful face.
Yes,
Thank you. It's so good to see your faces too.
Yes. So talk to us about exactly that. You know, in this season of COVID-19, we have seniors graduating in this virtual environment. And that means, of course, that they are missing out on many of the things that they would have experienced in a tangible way. We'll say it that way. What kind of things should we pay attention to?
yes.
Well, I want to say I didn't get to hear everything your previous guest said, but I'm really proud of her. I can already tell that she's doing amazing things and that she will continue. And so, for the vast majority of young people who are seniors, they're disappointed, rightfully so. They are frustrated. They've worked hard to get to this point, and then all of a sudden, here comes this pandemic and it just wreaks havoc with everyone.
Mhm.
So it's very normal to feel the disappointment and the frustration. And I'm hopeful that parents are really advocating even more with the schools for their children so that they will at least do something to recognize them. And I know they're going to be doing that. I think right now they're just so focused on how do we get all these kids educated and with their courses completed for the semester. But just continue to ride them, call them, advocate for your children to have what they deserve. And it may not be when it was normally planned for, but it can happen before the end of the year. So, we have to advocate for that. But for the majority of the children, they're going to be fine. They're going to, they're going to complain about it. We're going to complain with them and we'll get through it. But there are a small number of students who may already be dealing with some depressive symptoms, some anxiety symptoms. And whenever anything like this happens, their situation can grow worse. And so, if your child, and this is just to kind of give you some of the signs and symptoms of depression and anxiety, just so that you can be mindful. And I love the fact that Mrs. DeVeaux is paying attention to her daughter and is recognizing what's going on with her, and they talk. Looks like they have a relationship.
Yes, they
So
do.
for some families, though, that relationship is not as solid. And so if your child has changes in mood, is changing in patterns as it relates to sleeping, their appetite has changed. They're more irritable, more withdrawn. You see them, sleeping more, with the covers over their head, don't want to get up. And, we have to be careful because sometimes we will say our children are lazy
Hmm.
and kind of
Mm.
make that, assumption when in fact they may really be dealing with some depression. So if they're already dealing with those signs and symptoms, even before this happens, you want to make sure that they are connected with the mental health professional, or if they're supposed to be taking medications, that they're taking their meds, and just kind of keep them, in their normal regime. I know for myself and other mental health professionals, we are doing telehealth so you can still be connected. So don't think because of the pandemic, we're not working, we're still working. And so also young people may have signs of anxiety, where they're feeling nervous and having unrealistic fears, and may even complain of stomach aches or headaches or muscle tension. Those could be signs that they are dealing with anxiety. And so you have to pay attention. And what I'm sharing with parents, this is a time for us to be real about our own feelings. I think sometimes our kids don't talk to us because they think that we think we're perfect and
Right.
that we don't have
That's
any
it.
thoughts or feelings. So they feel kind of weird talking to us about it. But I think it's normal to talk about, hey, I'm feeling a little out of sorts myself. I'm feeling locked in. I can't go out and I'm feeling, a little anxious about what's going on right now. And by the way, a little anxiety is healthy. because it's a little anxiety that keeps us following the directions of our states, to tell us to stay in or wear your mask. If you got a little bit of fear and worry, you're going to do what you're supposed to do. But when we have enormous fear and worry, then it's paralyzing. And so we want to talk about how we're feeling and just sit down with your kids and ask them, how are you doing? Don't take for granted that they're not struggling, because I think every single person on the planet today
Mm-hmm.
who's been affected by this is feeling a certain way. And so being able to talk about that and to normalize that is very important. And the last thing I want to say before you ask me something else is, you've got to realize that young people, especially teenagers, are in their adolescence. And they're already dealing with this transition between childhood and adulthood. And so their biggest task during this time is identity. And who else forms identity for them? We don't like it because sometimes we hate that they have to go through this process of unhealthy identity, but it's their peers. And so even though they can connect with social media, and they can connect through, Zoom and other venues, they are missing that contact that they have. They're missing the opportunity to go to the movies and go bowling and to do those things. So they're already struggling just based on lifespan development.
Mhm.
And then this is also the time for independence. And so when they are in high school, they have a certain amount of independence. They go from one class to another. Teachers treat them more independently. They get to go to stand and hang out with whomever they choose to. And so they have a little sense of independence. And then you even let them have a little bit more independence by letting them go out with their friends or let them go to different activities. Well, now they're at home with their parents 24/7. And parents are frustrated and young people are frustrated. So this is the time where you need to use your time wisely with your children. And I'm going to say a structure with a schedule is the perfect solution. I would set them up just like they're in school.
Wow.
This time you get up, you have breakfast. This is your first period class. This is your second period. Now you can have recess and you can have your break and have your lunch. Go back to your fourth period class, because what happens, it continues that continuity that they're accustomed to, and it makes it easier. And then you go to bed at a certain time,
Mhm.
because you have to get up and start this all over again on a weekday.
I
And then
love
if it's Friday night, you got more time to hang out and to socialize. So I
I
think
love
it's
that
so
look that Jean just gave Tristyn. Like, yeah, like a bedtime. It may not have happened in that household for a minute now, huh?
yeah,
Right.
I know. I
Especially
have
for a
one of
senior.
them. I
It's-
have a few
yes,
of them.
Right.
Um,
Especially for a senior, right?
exactly. But
Like,
I did want to say one thing about what you said that stood out to me is that time of congregating as a family, Dr.
yes,
Gloria, is so important. And one of the things that Cassandra and I heard from Dr. Tony Evans, Mother Lois Evans directly, is that time of being at the dinner table with your
yes,
family. This time of COVID-19 has given us all an opportunity, because sometimes, truthfully, there's a little bit of background noise somewhere,
yes,
but
yeah,
sometimes
it's,
we have gotten away from that as an organization. Maybe it's on my end, I'm not sure. But as a country, as a community, we have gotten away from sitting at the dinner table and just having conversations with our families. And I think this time is a great time to get that habit reset, right? To go back to the dinner table and to talk to our kids and to talk to each other and figure out what's really going on in our minds and hearts.
right. And when we
yeah,
talked, actually, Dr. Gloria, we even talked about that in our last Maintain Monday. That's something we said that about the structure. And like Placida said, that discovery time. I don't know if that's me either, but that discovery time for the children, then now you're able to see what you may not have seen because you were running, you were doing this, you were leaving, your kids come back home this time and you leave this time, and now you're able to really discover what's going on into your children, really paying attention. But I have a question about the parent piece. Okay,
Yeah.
because I heard that twice today, how we as parents, and if we're talking about even as leaders, let's look at some of our leaders, that we pretend like this is not affecting us, right? We pretend like
Yeah.
we don't tell them, like I tell my children, I have never been here before, and I don't know what to do either, but all I can do is trust God, and they respect that. So and we will get through this together. Can you speak more on how that perfect leader or that perfect parent may affect the child more so in the worst way than the right way? I'm going to mute
Okay.
myself.
Okay. All right. Yes, you're absolutely correct. If we are not owning where we are, if we cannot speak our truth, then we are telling and teaching kids that they don't have to do it either. And we're teaching them how to suffer in silence. And so I think one of the most beautiful things, and I'll just use myself as an example, I've been blessed because my son and his family are staying with me for a while. And this happened probably a month before this all happened. And so I'm just so grateful that they are here. But we are sitting at the table every day eating together. And I mean, I had lived alone and they, lived together, and they probably went and eat in other rooms to have their dinner or their breakfast. But now we're sitting together, and it's the time that we can talk. And it's wonderful because, with my grandchildren sitting there, we have it as a conversation about how we're thinking about this pandemic, and how we're handling it, and how we're coping. And it's a great time to have a conversation. And so I think kids just need to know that we are okay to talk about how we feel. And if you don't talk about how you feel, you're teaching them that it's not okay for them to talk about how they feel. So I think once we open up and just kind of acknowledge how we're doing and how we're feeling about all of this. But keep in mind, even with that, you still need to come out with a positive end to it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just say, "Oh, this is the most horrible thing ever, and I don't know what we're gonna do." That's how you may feel, but you gotta still have a positive end for that conversation. You
Mm-hmm.
need to let
Mm-hmm.
your children know, I don't know when this will end. I don't know how it's gonna end. I don't know any of that, but I do know we're going to be okay. And I always
Mm-hmm.
tell people to practice mindfulness, which simply means that I've got to deal with the present moment. If I focus on the past and how things were and how it was last year or how it was 3 months ago, I'm going to be more depressed. And then
Mm-hmm.
if I focus on the future, the uncertainties of the future, I'm going to be more anxious. But if
Mm-hmm.
I stay right here in the moment and I think about how blessed I am because I'm still here and how my family's still here, I'm going to focus on the here and now. I'm going to be in a place of peace. And this is really difficult because people are dying all around us. And we have to have those conversations. We have to be able to talk about death and dying with our kids today. It's terrible for a grandparent to be in a nursing home or in a hospital, or a parent or someone to be in the hospital, and the last people who see them alive is a nurse or a doctor. The family can't even be there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really the most difficult time we've ever had as a country in our lifetime. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's going to be difficult. That's why courageous conversations have to take place. But you, as the adult, have to emerge in a way that's healthy for your children. So they
Mm-hmm.
hear your truth, but they also can hear from you that you are trusting God. We're going to be okay. I can't tell you how this is going to end. I can't tell you all those things.
Mm-hmm.
But all I can tell you is right now, we're going to be okay. And let's make our gratitude list. And let's start being thankful for what we have right now.
That is
Because
so
that's
good.
all any of us has.
That's so good. You know, I feel like we had the model family on this broadcast with Jean and Tristyn. And I say that because Jean was demonstrating many of the things that you just said in her delivery before you got on. She said, you know, this isn't good, you know, but we're going to celebrate. I tell her, she pointed her towards her faith. She pointed all of us toward faith, and that God's got us and he's going to give you double for your trouble. But in the meantime, I'm still going to celebrate you. Those are some of the things she said, Dr. Gloria. So I love what you're saying. I want more of the resources that you were giving. You were saying mindfulness is something that we should be practicing, not only as the senior, but as all of us. It'll help us to be a support for the senior if we remain practicing mindfulness. What are some other resources or practices we can engage in? And Rodney, please feel free to join in the conversation and give us what you've got as well.
Okay, great. When we think about mindfulness, you know, deep breathing, having a time where we engage in deep breathing, where you're inhaling and then exhaling slowly, allowing yourself to relax. You know, you can even do visualizations where you visualize something very positive. Like I visualize the ocean because I love the ocean, and it just helps me to calm down. And then also listening to music is very good for you. You know, playing board games with the family. These are some techniques and strategies. Even using coloring books. Girls like to color. I'm not trying to be sexist with this because some guys may want to color too, but coloring is good. And making sure that you are not loading yourselves up with sugar. And let me tell you about sugar and depression. When people are already a little sad, you know, we want to comfort ourselves, and sugar is not the greatest thing to comfort you. It may feel good in the moment, but it pulls you down. I'm not going to even talk about what it does to your waistline, but it will pull you down. So try to limit your sugar and limit your caffeine, because you can be much more anxious if you are on stimulants, which you will find in sodas and in coffee and in some teas, unless they're herbal teas. So you want to make sure you do that. But this is a great time for journaling, you know, writing down how you're feeling. Somebody may emerge with a book out of this as a young person, just about what your experience was during this time. And then also let your creative juices flow, because this is a time that you have time to create. Most times we don't have time to create because we're so busy. But now God has helped us to be put in a place of pause so we can reset.
Right.
And how do you want to come out of this? You should be thinking about that. How do you want to emerge, you know, after this is over? So I'm just encouraging you to use that. And then, of course, if you need professional help, seek the help of a trained mental health professional. And when you're connecting socially, stay with positive people. Don't connect with negative people, because if you're with negative people, you're going to be negative.
That's it.
So make sure that your energy space is positive. And then, of course, always pray, read scriptures, meditate, and just let the Lord speak to you, and you listen, because this is a great time. He's really getting our attention. And now this is a great time for us to connect with him in a greater way.
Yes. It's funny, Dr. Morrow, you mentioned, Dr. Gloria, I think we call you. We had some of those same conversations last night over dinner, just about progressing now with the end in mind. Like, where do you want to be once we go back to some sort of normality? So helping the kids understand that, and trying to walk them through that and giving them tips as to where do we want to be as individuals, as a family, And I think as a family, it's going to change for us tremendously. We've really enjoyed having our meal time and being able to talk and hear from each other and talk about some things we never get a chance to because we're running so much. So with the class of 2020, my main message for them is don't give up. Don't let this be the time where you say, well, I knew it wasn't going to work, so I'm gonna just do something different. No, stay the course. Stay steady. Get support. Get help. But whatever you do, don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your realities, and don't give up on the things you say you wanted to become. Because like this is just a detour. This is not something that's going to affect the rest of your life, but this is something you can take to propel yourself to the next level. And it may be a different way, it may be a new way, but I still believe in you. And I think we all still believe in the class of 2020 as we all kind of navigate through this together.
Wow. That's good, Rodney. Don't give up. Thank you, Dr. Gloria, and thank you, Rodney, both. And thank you, Jean and Tristyn, for joining us on Maintain Monday. Our goal is to hear the cry of the land. Not just to bring topics before you, the fluff and the feel good, but to hear what is going on in the land and bring it to our viewers and listeners. So this has been good. I mean, the comments that we've been getting. Somebody said, I know this was for class 2020, but I'm getting something out of this. Really. And like Placida said, Dr. Gloria has been our go-to person. She is a jewel in our necklace of rubies. She was introduced to us by Mother Lewis Evans, Dr. Tony Evans' wife that just passed, but we said we're going to keep her. We're going to keep her. And I think I sent a text recently, like, we're going to stay together because Dr. Lois put us together, and we're going to stay together, and we're going to do everything that she expected us to do here on the side.
Absolutely.
Jean, can you tell us how, just closing words, how this has helped you and Tristyn? Can you tell us just some quick words? Or you want to say something to the class of 2020, Tristyn?
So this conversation has definitely helped us. And I'm sitting here, I'm giving Tristyn a leg, and just feeling good about outreach. As Rodney mentioned earlier, that our church, Mount Pleasant Church and Ministries, that group sent out something to our college students. So that was definitely inspiring and definitely hit our hearts, and we were definitely glad for that. Just the whole outreach, and Cassandra, as you mentioned, the purpose of the elevation is to hear the cry of the land, and just to invite us in so that you can hear our hearts, and actually to have Dr. Gloria on to kind of speak and solidify some of the things that I've been doing is confirmation. And I just thank God for you and Placida seeing the vision. Rodney, thank you for speaking into my girls' lives. We have a relationship with you as well, and thank you. So it's just heartwarming that you guys reached out to us to hear our cry, to hear what we're going through as a family, and just to check on us, and and I'm so overwhelmed that other people got to glean and got to feel good off of what we've experienced and how we interact as well.
Tristyn, you want to say something to your class?
First, I want to thank everyone on here for the positive messages, and this has helped me, and I'm sure most of the class of 2020, because we know that everyone cares, and it is some negative people out there not understanding where we're coming from, but knowing that everyone is praying for us and wishing the best for us, and that after this is over, that it's going to be a big celebration, and that everyone's going to have a feel good about it. It gives us a lot of hope and a lot of motivation to keep doing what we're doing, and to when it's over, to be where we want to be.
Yeah, so my question, thank you so much, Tristyn and Jean. Dr. Gloria, how can people maintain as we're ending, how can they maintain during this season so that when they come out on the other side, there's something different? We can't hear you. Okay, so Rodney, the question
Yes.
goes to you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. We can. Well, we're coming for you, Rodney,
Okay,
next.
all
So
right.
go you first,
Okay.
Dr. Gloria.
Okay, okay. So, number one, I just want to thank you ladies for having me come on your show. And this is such an important topic for such an important time. And if we're going to maintain positive emotions, number one, we have to stay socially connected. They've been telling us to be distanced, but that doesn't mean we have to be disconnected. So we should be socially connected. We should also be connected to the Spirit of God, and make sure that we are exercising spiritual disciplines like prayer, praise, worship, and fasting. And we should also exercise. We should think positive things. You know, this has a negative side to it, but I think if we were all to be honest, we could think about several positive aspects of this pandemic on our lives. And let's focus on those things, because if we just look at the negative, and by the way, we always hear about the number of people affected negatively, the number of people who died. They don't tell you as often how many people are surviving it. And the numbers of people is higher than the numbers of people who are negatively affected. And so we've got to remember that, and then stay positive and surround yourselves with positive people. And the last thing is create, create, create. You've got more time. There are projects that you can take up or complete. Do something positive so when you come out, you are ahead of the game.
Thank you so much, Rodney.
Sure. Thank you for you both for having me on the show today. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun, very informative.
Mhm.
Just want to say that this time we tried, I guess, in our house, preach, um, begin with the end in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Where
That's
do you
it.
want to be when this is over?
That's
So
it.
now, as opposed to sitting around and, sulking and not feeling so disappointed all the time, start thinking about when this is over, where do I want to be? Where do I want to be academically? Where do I want to be physically? Where do I want to be emotionally? Where do I want to be socially? Where do we want to be as a family on the other side of this pandemic? And I think there are some positive things. I will agree with that are coming out of this. I think our family has gotten a lot closer, just because we've spent so much time together. So that's been a great benefit with the pandemic. We have one of our children is the cruise director, we call them. Every night he's challenged with coming up with games for us to play, whether they're video games or board games or cards or whatever. So, and we have
Like,
exercise folks, and so they all have their laptops so they can get their work done. So we just try to maintain some sort of normalcy. But I practice my cooking skills much more. I've gotten a lot better at some things. So that's always a lot of fun. So just kind of keep in mind that it's going to be over, but let's go through it victoriously.
Amen.
So that when we end, we're not having to pick ourselves up to move forward. So
Amen. So we're going to go through victoriously. You guys have been amazing. Thank you again, Jean and Tristyn. We're going to see you next time. I'm sure there'll be another time when we invite you back to the show. So thank you so much. Our prayers are with you, Tristyn. If we can, we're going to show a beautiful picture of you, that fabulous dress, because the world needs to see that. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you for
thank
just
you.
your heart to serve our youth and for being there with them and through this, because that's really what you're doing. You're with our youth through this process. So we appreciate you more than you know.
I
Thank
have
you.
one more request before Rodney. I would like for you to pray for our youth
Sure, no
before
problem.
we close out.
Okay, let me know when. You want to
Go
go
ahead
now?
and yeah, we're
Sure.
going to do it now.
Sure. Thank you, Father, for this day, this opportunity. We come down, Lord God, just to pray for our young folks, especially those in the class of 2020, that they will, Lord God, see you through all of this. And Lord, let those of us around them build them up and encourage them and prop them up on every lean inside, Lord God, that they will be pointed to your glory and for your direction and your purpose for their lives, that this time might be used to not only survive it, but to also thrive in it and to help redirect their lives and their minds and their hearts that they might be focused on you even more so. So, Lord God, we look forward to the victory they're going to receive at the end of this pandemic, but also in their lives. So let them now praise you in advance of what you're going to do. We thank you in advance, and we give you glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you guys again for joining us on Maintain Monday. Maintain.
Cassandra, this has definitely been a wonderful way to honor our seniors. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for just being Cassandra. You always have a heart to be there with our youth. And I just want to take that minute to acknowledge you and how you're always loving on people.
Well, thank you, Placida, for definitely. I mean, we have done many shows on friendship and support. And, you know, you and Jean both, to have you both on the screen with me has been a great support, great friend, family, and I love you both. And I just want to thank our viewers for just believing in us.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Believing in us and trusting us. But we want to ask you guys to do something for us. Continue to pray for us.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to pray that not only that we hear God's voice and we hear the cry of the land, but we be obedient to God's voice. And we want to thank you for your support. We want to ask you to go out and share this video because as you've seen the comments come across the screen, this was not just a message for this class of 2020, but those adults that are connected and also other people that are out there that may be dealing with depression and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could say a couple of days ago, I felt a little anxiety coming on me, you know, and I had to take a deep breath. I had to do those, you remember that breathing exercise? You know,
that's right.
You know, and Placida
took me
to a class. She took me to a class, and I'm grateful for that class. Where I had to learn how to do breathing exercises. Mm-hmm. So I just want to thank you guys we are in this together.
We are.
We're going to come out better. Just from saying that. So thank you. Can we get the prom dress up?
Yes, we want to see that prom dress real quick. If we can see it, it's beautiful.
Can we please get the prom dress up?
Oh, look at our baby. There you go.
There
you go.
That dress went viral. I'm telling you.
Well, this has been another episode of Maintain Monday. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. We love you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Love you more. Love you.
Maintaining.
Until then, maintain.